Okay, so in this video I want to bust up some of the common myths about meditation just to provide a bit more clarity and to sort of strip away a lot of its New Age ideas and New Age teachings. So the first one, which I just mentioned in the last video, is that meditation is not about stopping thinking. In fact, when you're meditating, the mind tends to think more. So it's not about trying to stop the mind from thinking, because the mind, by its very nature, is designed to think. And therefore, the mind will continue to think. So the art of meditation is really, don't fight that. Just allow the mind to babble on its nonsense. It's more about creating this sort of space between you and the mind. So the biggest hindrance to people getting meditation or thinking they can't do it is because we over-identify with thinkingness. So we listen too much to the mind, we listen too much to the noise of the mind, and we are so involved in it that there's no space there. And if you get too involved with the mind, that's where you get trapped or caught. And that's what causes a lot of the problems, and that's why people think they can't meditate. But if I was to say to you that actually most of the mind is silent, most of the mind is empty, there's potentially only 1% of your mind that's actually busy thinking. So just imagine this for a second, it might help. So only 1% of your mind is actually thinking, the rest of your mind is spacious and quite empty. Yet it's because of that 1% of noise that we are drawn to it. Our attention is drawn to that noise. And so we're focusing in on that. So that's most of the behavior of most humans and those people that don't meditate, is that we're focusing in on that 1% of noise and missing all the other 99% of what's going on. So hopefully that provides a bit of a better context, a better understanding about the mind, how it works, is that it does think and it will think, but the aim is not to stop it from thinking. It's just to change our place of attention. Okay. So another misconception is that when you have positive thoughts, then you associate yourself with being happy, and when you have negative thoughts, you associate yourself with being unhappy. So this is not absolutely true, because with the mind, like I said before, you can't, it's going to keep thinking no matter whether you want it to think or not. And a lot of the time it'll start thinking thoughts that you have no control over. I'm sure you've experienced this, we all have, is that we get really random ideas, really random thoughts coming into our psyche. And there's really no potential cause, or we can't work out where it's coming from. But what we do have the ability to choose is whether we listen and focus in on that thought. So that's where our power comes from. It's really more of our attention is more important than the way we think. The thinking is kind of like down the road. The thinking is like 10 steps later. You can get before the thinking with your attention. So wherever you place your attention, is basically what you emphasize in your world, in your reality. So when you have a weird thought, or say a negative thought, come into your mind, meditation teaches you that you don't have to follow it. You don't have to place your attention on it. It'll come up, you go, whoa, that was a weird thought, or that was not a helpful thought, and you just let it go, and it goes. It'll pass, and then another weird thought will come, etc. And it just keeps going like this. So don't worry so much about what kind of thoughts you have. Rather focus on where you place your attention. What thoughts do you listen to? And that is more important. Of course, if positive thoughts come through, it is worthwhile to spend more time on them and to give those more energy, because it does help. But not to over-identify too much with it. So positive thoughts will come. So give them a bit of attention and then let them go. Negative thoughts will come, don't give them much attention, and they will go. And that's simply what meditation teaches us to do. So don't get too hung up on what kind of thoughts you have. And you'll understand this a lot better as we get into meditation. So another misconception or another myth is that meditation will give you experiences of bliss and peace and joy and make life easier. So it's not absolutely quite true. Some techniques of meditation, sure, they sort of generate a really positive feeling inside, and it can kind of give you this nice kind of glow. And a lot of people feel like that is the goal of meditation, and that means that I'm getting a lot of progress in my meditation. But it's not absolutely true, because when we're meditating, essentially it gives our mind and our psyche time and space to start pulling up some things that we may have suppressed, some things we may not have dealt with will come up into our psyche or come up into our attention. So often depends on your type of meditation, but the type that I'm going to teach you, and I think the more authentic, the more raw forms of meditation, they often bring up sort of what I call storms. And the storms are actually a sign of progress, because it's a sign that we're processing a lot of the stuff that we've sort of bottled down and kept away. The art of meditation teaches us how to deal with life, how to deal with storms as they arise. It's not about sort of coating life in a sort of rainbow, bubbly feeling. And if you approach it like that, then you'll get really disappointed when you come across certain storms, because storms will always come up. Every now and then there'll be a storm. So meditation is teaching you and learning how to deal with storms, how to deal with life in a balanced, in a wise way. So the other thing about that is that if you think that meditation is always about feeling peaceful and feeling blissed out, is that when you don't have that experience, you sort of get all beat up on yourself and you think that you're not good at meditation, you think that you can't do it. And that's absolutely not true. As I said before, it's actually part of the deal. Of course, you'll get really good meditations, and then you'll get sort of a bit harder meditations, or a bit more stormy meditations. But that's the process of meditation. That's real meditation, is that it's always changing. You'll have good experiences and then not so good experiences. The main focus is learning how to deal with this stuff, and that's what meditation is really about. Okay, so I hope that's clarified things. You'll definitely get more understanding as you practice it. So this is just an intellectual understanding, just to help pave the way. So in the next video, I'll talk about different types of meditation. Thank you.